Top of the morning, math classes. This is your math teacher, Mr. Happy, coming to you live, not from our Savior's Lutheran Church and School, but instead from my undisclosed location, otherwise known as my house. A happy St. Patrick's Day to all of you as we are enjoying a little bit more extended spring break. But just because it's spring break doesn't mean we can't have fun learning a little bit about math. And the thing we're going to be looking at today is surface area. Okay, so if you want to follow along with me while we're doing this at home, if you have your math book, you can open it up to Chapter 8, Lesson 6. Okay, so we have talking about surface area. One second, I got my coffee cup. And remember, I'm not a professional YouTuber, so you're going to see a lot of those hard edits right there, or lack thereof. So when we're talking about surface area, we're talking about what is going on with these sorts of objects. We've talked about volume of like a rectangular prism. This is my phone right here. This is technically a rectangular prism, isn't it? So when I'm talking about the volume, I'm talking about all the things that go inside it. How many cubes, metric cubes, can I fit into this phone? But with surface area, instead, I'm talking about what covers it. The area of its surface, okay? So when I'm talking about surface area, we need to talk about square metrics. We're talking about length and width, right? There's two metrics that we're measuring, which is length and width, and it's what covers it. Think of it one way of like when you're wrapping a Christmas present or a birthday present. When you're talking about the volume of a rectangular prism, you're talking about what's inside the Christmas present. Okay, but when you're talking about surface area, you're talking about how much wrapping paper do you need to cover the box. Okay, so that's what we're working on together. So when I have my little handy dandy whiteboard right here, and I'm gonna just have, for instance, a cube. Okay, so I've got myself a little cube. And so we have a little cube right here. Parents, this is exactly how much I can draw. So that's why I don't teach art. Thank you, Mrs. Isham. So let's say this is a cube, so they should be all equal sides. So that means, let's say I have a 6 width right here, 6 and 6, okay? So I've got all those right here. So I'm trying to figure out how much wrapping paper I need to put in this cube right here. And so what that means is I have to figure out what's the area of this square and all other 5 sides of the square. Because if you remember, a square, a rectangular prism that's a square can also be called a cube, okay? One way that we do this is by drawing out a net, okay? So take a second and see if you can draw a net with me, okay? So if you want to do this on a piece of paper by yourself, go ahead and do it while I do it. So I've got my 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I'll add my top one, 6. So you should have something very similar to this, okay? And so all of these, since it's a cube, has the same measurement. It's 6 and 6. All of these are areas. So the way we look at that, we would go the area of the square times 6. Okay? The area of the square times 6. And so when I multiply that, I have 36 times 6. So I would get, let's call these centimeters. I would have 216 centimeters squared. Okay? Now, the problem is that it's not always a square, isn't it? So, sometimes, and I'll remember for my next videos, I need to have an eraser with me. Remember, non-professional YouTuber here. So the other thing that we can do is a rectangular prism. So for instance, I have a rectangular prism. Oh boy, this is terribly drawn, isn't it? Look at that. Isn't that terrible? All right, so I have a rectangular prism drawn that has a 5, a 4, and a 10 right here. Okay? Now, before I move on, if you want to try and take a pause at this video and see if you can do it yourself, it should, I know it's kind of weirdly reversed, but if you have 4, 5, and 10, okay? So, let's actually, look at that. That's amazing. Movie magic. So, if you have, want to take a few minutes to see if you can do this yourself, I'm going to draw out the net, okay? So if you want to follow along with me, of course, we're going to draw this front square first. So I have, or this front rectangle since it's not even. So I have a 4 by 5, okay? But what connects these then are the 4 rectangles that go around this one. So we have to kind of look at this as a three-dimensional shape when we're talking about surface area. There's 2 small rectangles on either side that are 4 by 5. Then there are 4 rectangles that go around that are 5 by 10. Okay? So that means mine should look like this. I draw one right here, which is the 5 by 10. Okay? After that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw my last other side, which is this opposite. So this is da 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 da. And yes, the sound effects are necessary. So I have down here my 5 by 4. Then I have this one, and I have this one, and then I have this one. Okay? So these are all the same. And these 4 are right here the same. They're 10 by 5. This one is 4 by 5. This one is 4 by 5. So that means I have 4 shapes that have the same measurement. And I have 2 shapes that have the same measurement. So I'm going to multiply. I'm going to put this down here and then I'll show it to you guys. I'm going to multiply 4 times 5 twice. And then I'm going to add that to my 5 times 10, and I'm going to multiply that all by 4. So you should have something that's similar to this one right here. 2 times the 4 by 5, those are the fronts, and then 4 times the 5 by 10s, those are the sides. Okay, so we do that math, and I got 4 times 5, which is 20, times 2, which is 40. I'm going to add that to 5 times 10, which is 50, times 4, which is 200. So I add 200 and 240, and let's pretend that these are in inches, and I should end up with 240 inches squared. Okay? 240 inches squared. Now, the best thing about these videos, guys, is that if I'm doing something, unlike in class, if I'm doing something and you really have no idea what you need, how I did that, you can go back with these and do these as many times as you want. Instead of looking at my ugly mug, you can instead, like be working on something on a piece of paper, watching, I don't know, do you guys still do MySpace? Probably not. So this is how you do a rectangular prism, okay? What happens when we have a triangular prism, okay? Well, what we do is we are going to draw our triangular prism. So I put a triangle as my base, and I go up. I really wish I was a good video editor so that I could have better videos for you guys. But I have this triangular prism, and so I'm going to say that this is, let's say that this is 2 meters, the base. This width is 12 meters, and this has a height of 4 meters. Okay? The big difference is that this is triangle. So we have a different formula for how to write out and solve the area of our 2 bases right here, these 2 triangles. Sorry, this is reversed. So we do the same thing. We do the net. Okay, so If you want to pause this and write it along with me or skip ahead to when I have this net finished, go ahead and see if you do it correctly with me, okay? So I draw my triangle, and then I draw a rectangle, then I draw another triangle, and then I draw 2 more rectangles. I have my heights, my bases, my lengths, 4, 2. This is 12. You should have something similar to this, okay? All right, do you have that similar thing? So now I have to find the area of the triangles and the area of the rectangles. Well, rectangles are going to be easy, aren't they? Because you can pause. What is going to be the area? What formula are we going to use the area of the rectangle? It's going to be pause the video, say it to yourself, say it to your parents who are watching it with you. Very good. It's length times width, which means it's 2 times 12. How many times are we going to do that? See if you can answer this. Pause it. Hopefully you said 3 times because there's 3 rectangles. So our first part, we have 3 times 2 times 12. Okay, do you see that? 3 times 2 times 12. And parents, yes, this is how bad I write on the whiteboard. So if your students ever come home with notes that are this complete gibberish, that's why, because I have terrible handwriting, okay? I don't blame my parents or my former teachers. It's just how I am. All right. The problem is that we're not doing a square or a rectangle for the other bases, aren't we? We're doing triangles, aren't they? And so the area of a triangle is going to be what? Say it. Very good. 1/2 base times height. I'm getting very big Dora the Explorer vibes right now, but that's okay. I just don't no swiper. Okay, no swiper, so we're good. So that means we're gonna write it out, and we're gonna do this twice. So we do 2 times 1/2 base times height. Another way of saying that is 1/2 2 times 4. Okay? So we have something like that. Okay? So we multiply these out. I'm going to do the area of the triangles first. So I do 1/2 times 2, which is 1, times 4, which is 4, times 2, which is 8. And I'm going to add that to my rectangle equation. So I go 2 times 12, which is 24, times 3. If I do 24 times 3, that's going to get me 72. So I have 72. So I have 72 meters plus 8 meters, which of course gets me 80 meters squared. I get 80 meters squared. So if you go back and you're looking at all these, you can pause these at any given time. That's why I'm trying to hold these up. Go back to the moments that I hold these up. Pause the video so that you can take a look at your own notes to make sure you're doing this correct. Now, this video is getting a little long for me because I got several other videos to make this morning, but I'm going to give you guys a challenge. Okay, ooh, a challenge. Okay, here's your challenge. I'm going to put down 3 different geometric shapes. Okay, 3 different geometric shapes. I want you to try and find the surface area of one of those. Okay, I'm going to find, so I'll put number 1, I'll put the sides, the lengths, the widths, okay? I'll tell you what type of geometric. On the video or in Google Classroom, I want you to comment with your answer for number 1, 2, or 3, okay? Make sure you're following along. Don't try and cheat by waiting until other people write your answers, okay? The other challenge that I want you guys to try and do is go post either to Google Classroom for your class and give your friends a rectangular or triangular prism that you think would be difficult. Give me the base, give me the height, and give me the length, the width of what that rectangular prism or triangular prism is. Make sure you tell us if it's a rectangular or triangular prism. All right? So here's number 1. You're going to do a cube with all sides being 8 inches. What is its surface area? Number 2 is a rectangular prism with the sides, with a base with a base of 4, a height of a height of 6, and a length of 11. And then number 3 is a triangular prism with a base of 3, a height of 6, and a length of 12. Okay, so here's your challenge for today. Remember, I want you to solve one of these, post it on Google Classroom, and then I want you guys to give us your own version of a cube, a rectangular prism, or a triangular prism. Give us the dimensions and see if your classmates can solve it for you. That means you also have to know the answer, okay? Hey guys, I hope you guys have a wonderful St. Patrick's Day. So in honor of St. Patrick's Day, my other challenge for you is I want you to try and drive any snakes you have out of your house. All right? I love you all. I can't wait to see you guys in person real soon, all right? God's blessings.